Good morning everyone and welcome to another exactly on time video. Basically we have a new tank in the store and I have to say it's about the weirdest tank I know. I actually didn't think this was an actual tank for a very long time and was pretty sure that was just a meme. So it kind of caught me by surprise to hear that it was actually entering the game. Now, as you can see, it is not the fastest tank. The camo looks nice, the tank itself looks weird and all of that, but it takes quite a while for it to get anywhere. And through this, it compares most to the T28 in game, but it feels more mobile, and that's the weird thing. All in all, though, I can't say like I love this tank. It's definitely not like that. Of all the tanks that we have in Tier 8, there are a lot of tanks, TDs, even just TDs, that I would much prefer to drive over this one. But overall, it is a fun and quirky machine to drive. Now, basically, the reload that this has and the DPM that it can potentially dish out is just absolutely lovely. And that will be one of the strong points of this tank. It hasn't got the best armor. Yes, it can bounce stuff, definitely. I mean, the T28 can bounce stuff as well. But all in all, there's just... It's a bit... It feels pretty balanced, don't get me wrong. But that also means that there's nothing really going for this tank where I'm like, yeah, this is why I would want this tank. Aside from the fact that it looks redonkulous, and aside from the fact that it's a tank that I will want for my collection because I collect tanks and all. But that's a whole other matter. So as per usual for my reviews, I try to focus on how the tank drives. Because yes, I will go over the numbers with you, but overall you can find the numbers anywhere. So talking about how it feels and all of that works better for me. At least I feel that is more useful. Like in this case, I'm trying to shoot the SP1C and that is not working out because we're all three next to each other, literally blocking each other from moving, which is not really helpful. But yeah, there's a little AMX here. Like basically, this is the thing about this tank. If you can get all the shots in, it can be absolutely fantastic. But look at this gun depression. This is depressing on its own. And that, to me, is the biggest weakness of this tank. The fact that you basically have to expose yourself a lot in order to get your shots in. And you do not really have the armor to confidently do that. Like in this case, I take the shot. The only reason I outgun him is because I was almost reloaded anyway. I took the liberty of doing this pretty much whole game and then a few clips and then another whole game. Because in this case, it shows like what this tank can take, and I feel that that is important to focus on as well. This was also something very funny. I hit the snow there. I have no idea where exactly the shot went, but okay. But it wasn't just that. The thing is that when you're testing a new tank on a press account, and it's not like testing, you're pretty much driving it and I'm collecting footage and everything. What happens here is something that can happen. I actually take a big hit there, which is not going to be helpful either. But with the issue having fired now, that means that I'm pretty much free to peek up a little bit here. And they decide to just, ooh, new tank, let's YOLO. Because the thing is, I have a few campers behind me. Those are either just fired or they're not really doing anything. And I want to take that tank out, while as the tiger is just really focusing on me. I have a low roll here, which doesn't help either. And like I said, this tank, it can bounce stuff. You can see it in the way that it actually bounces stuff and everything. But all in all, when you are driving this and you're basically focused like this and they get behind you or beside you, there's just no way you're going to live. And that is the tricky part here. Because, I mean, I couldn't get away. I did not have the mobility for that. I mean, it is a tier 8 TD based on the T28, so no one should be surprised at that, but it's good to see it, in my opinion. And it wasn't just that part. This was also like a fantastic part, and I mean that with my greatest sarcasm. Like here, I'm trying to get a shot in, and the guy is moving, and because I'm pretty much like need to get into position to use that gun depression, I then derp my shot as well, which is not really all too helpful. We've already lost 3 teammates here. I want to shoot his cupola, but that is not working out for me either. And that's something that I've noticed with this tank. You need a little bit of RNG, a little bit of luck. So now I am bouncing a little bit, and for some reason I wanted to shoot a bit, to click my fix-it kit, and as I did that, it shot. No idea why still, but that's not a matter altogether. So now I'm sort of in a hold down position, and as such I am bouncing the shark. I'm not bouncing the lower, who's just continuously penning me. And it's stuff like this. You do not really have the armor to do this, and I feel that the T28 can actually perform better in that regard. That being said though, this tank isn't technically more mobile, or not a lot anyway. It's a little bit more mobile, and you do really feel it. Now in this case I know that it's just gonna be game over. Like there's just no way. But the speed with which that can happen is also something. Like in this case, this is not a clip that I focused on to show you how quickly this tank can get wrecked. Like, I shoot him, I'm not even like completely alone, but the Emu is there. He shoots me once, I turn around, I want to shoot him. That is not working out for me because I bounce. He shoots me again. And basically, he pretty much took away most of my life just with his one clip. Now, he even goes in for the ram. This is also basically like focused new tank, but still, it really works out for them, because I only got that one shot in before I got absolutely wrecked, and that's how fast it can go. And there was no way that I could have ever gotten out of there alive. Now, this is the last game I have for you, and this is actually like the good one, so that's why I'm ending with that. And like, I'm just showing you the tank a little bit now as well. The camo, it looks like nice and faded, and it's called Bison for obvious reasons and everything. And the tank just looks so weird. I like it, but it's so weird. It's kind of like the Yo in all its quirky ways. It's like Wargaming decided to bring out the quirky tanks in the last couple of updates. Now, I did promise you some numbers, and I compared it to the T28 for that. Basically, DPM is the same as 2912. The penetration on the TS-5 is 10 higher than on the T28. It's 258 versus 248. The alpha is the same, it's 400, rate of fire is 7.28, the reload time is 8.24, this is without equipment, mind. The caliber is 120, the shell velocity is 1067 versus 945 on the T28. The aim time is 2.08 versus 2.26. The rotation thingy is a little bit higher than the T28. The aiming arc is 13 degrees versus 10 degrees / 11 degrees. The speed is higher, it's 26 kilometers per hour. And basically the power to rate ratio is a little bit better. The engine power is of course a little bit better. And all of that. The camo rating on the T28, however, is better. And the thing that gets me the most about this tank is the gun depression. And the gun depression is exactly the same as the T28. It's 5% depression and 20% elevation. But I find that it's really lacking in that part. For a tank that is pretty much more mobile than a T28, basically a 5% gun depression does not really work. And I think that that is the biggest weakness of this tank. Like, aside from the armor and that it can bounce, but there's also occasions where it won't bounce anything. My gun has been derping pretty much this whole game. The DPM, like, is great, because you will still see the amount of damage that I dish out in the end. But the fact that it's basically derp that shot and get those shots in shows how great the DPM is. And the fact that it's recently been mobile works as well. Like, it will take you some time to get anywhere. But once you do, you can work a position quite nicely. The thing about this tank the most, though, is that I'm not entirely certain what position will actually work for it. Because hold down doesn't really work. Peek booming doesn't really work. Side scraping is not something I advise you to do either. Or at least, like, all of it can work. But situationally, there's no consistent thing that will work for you with this tank. It will depend on your enemy potatoes. And that's something that makes this tank very, well, fickle. Let's put it that way. And of course, like, it's a nice tank, it looks quirky and all of that, and I will be getting it for my collection. The thing is though, and this is something that will always be my pet peeve, it is coming in crates. And crates are bad, okay? Because in the end of the day, crates are gambling, and I'm really not a fan of that. Especially for a terrain tank, it usually will cost you like between 100 and 125 euros to actually get the tank. And that's only if they give like these little thingies per crate that you open, and so you know you have a max. So basically this tank will depend a lot on your enemy potatoes and how they perform. It can be fun to drive. It seems fairly balanced, but the DPM has the potential to make it OP. But it comes in crates, and crates are bad. That's basically the review, like, in a nutshell. But that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be seeing you guys the next time again. Bye bye!